Thank you, everyone, for joining us this morning for our third and final unit record training webinar. We are happy to present to you all of the new and brightest and best of the unit record for this year. We do have a few changes that we're looking forward to sharing with you. We are recording this presentation, and of the three, we will be posting two of them on the website probably within the next week or so. We ask that you place your questions in the Q&A. We will try to answer those as we go, and we'll occasionally stop to check for those. There will also be an opportunity at the very end to perhaps unmute and speak to us directly as well. With us today is Connie Burrow, who is the Senior Functional Analyst for Financial Aid at the State Board for Community and Technical Colleges Campus Solutions Support. She'll be presenting all of the slides that have to do with the ctcLink PeopleSoft end of our process. Also, Marla Skelly, who is our Associate Director for Compliance at WASAC, and Nisha Griffiths, who is our Receivables Coordinator, also here at WASAC. My name is Ann Voiles. I am the Program Associate for Student Financial Aid. The three of us at WASAC are part of the Unit Record Review Team. Marla, myself, and Nisha will be reviewing your reports as they come in. With that, I think I will go ahead and turn this program over to Marla, who will begin with our main piece.
Thanks, Ann. As Ann said, I'm Marla Skelly, the Associate Director for Compliance at WASAC, and I'm almost completing my 8th year at WASAC, which is really hard for me to believe. My life and my career has always been in the financial aid arena, started in 1985. So I've been around a very long time in a lot of different roles in a lot of different states. So I find this process fascinating and frustrating, as I'm sure you do as well. I will be taking my camera offline, so we'll move on from here. The purpose of the unit record, first of all, this is the 53rd year of the unit record, which the information started being collected in 1972, following the establishment in 1969 of the State Need Grant, which is the name change came in 2019 or 2020 to the establishment of the Washington College Grant. The purpose of the unit record is really to provide WASAC and our institutions with the ability to compare information across the state. It measures the need of our students, and we rely on this data for advocating on behalf of students with our internal and external partners, which includes the legislators. It informs about potential changes to state aid programs through modeling proposed changes in the programs. That's an ongoing process for us. And probably most importantly, the unit record provides a centralized data repository, so we're able to minimize the number of ad hoc data requests to the institutions. Next slide, please. The timeline is moving quickly. The 24-25 unit record manual is available online, as are all the program manuals at this time. For unit record, we have to wait to post it until we get the new updates and the programmatic changes from the legislature and our programs themselves. It opened August 11th, so it opened a few days ago, and I can't believe we're in the middle of August right now. But you are able to go in and you can use portal training to upload your submission, see if there are any changes, anything like that. So it is open to you. We do want the completed unit record submissions by October 20th. We use this date because we look at the WAFA dates and we really try to work around those. We're not always as successful as we want to be, but we do try to work around that. We want you to start as soon as possible. While we have the October 20th deadline for completion, as soon as you start submitting, we will start reviewing, and that gives us the opportunity to complete the review of all schools in a more timely manner. You can use, as I said, the portal training instance to upload or submit your file and see what kind of errors you're getting and work through it that way. We will analyze the data from October through December, and in December, it's our goal to have information to the policymakers. We start getting requests from the legislature as early as at the end of October, first part of November, for information that we won't have until we complete the unit record in review. So the sooner you get it in, the better. We're doing something a little bit differently. We will send reminders to you, and we will include the presidents of the institutions so they are aware that this deadline is upcoming. We will hold to that deadline. So if you need any assistance, you need to contact us and we will help you however we can. We will have institutional profiles available in January. This timeline is really predicated on getting the unit record finalized in December, early January. You'll be able to access via the portal the unit record section and compare your school to the various sectors, which is included in the historical data. So there's a lot of information out there. The manual is the same as it's always been. There's the introduction, where the overview, purpose, changes, and timeline are all listed. And then you've got chapters 1, 2, and 3, and the appendices. The appendices are probably the most important part. This is where all the details are laid out. So I would suggest at the very minimum, you take a good look at the appendices. Appendix A is what students need to be reported. B is the record layout with the file format and valid inputs. C consists of the system edits that prevent file upload and import. And then D and E are quick lookups by financial aid program or the unit record report field name. Everything we're discussing today is in the manual. So the first step is to build a CSV file for submission. This may be new to some of you. A number of you have done this for many years, and so it's not a surprise. But if we have new aid administrators on the call, please feel free to give us a call if you run into any trouble. Part of this isn't, some of you may or may not know, the acronym WASFA stands for Washington Application for State Financial Aid. For a long time, I was thinking it was something different, and I was disabused of that pretty early on. So we want you to report students who receive financial aid based on the 24-25 FAFSA or WASFA. Please review the field definitions in Chapter 2 of the manual and the record layout in Appendices B and C to determine valid field content. We do have substantive changes in 24-25, and we'll go over those. Reporting requirements are basically determining which students to report. This is at a pretty high level. We just want to get all of the right students into the record report. And there are 3 categories of reportable aid recipients. Need-based with the FAFSA or WASFA, need-based where the FAFSA may or may not be required, and those are programs like the WASO scholarships, SBCTC opportunity grant, and then non-need-based federal loan recipients. So we do want your non-need-based loans, that is the federal direct unsubsidized loans, plus loans and federal grad plus loans. Those need to be reported as well. There's more information in Appendix A. For need-based recipients, our intent is to capture all the financial aid disbursements in the unit record report. It's term-by-term reporting. For 24-25, you're going to be reporting all financial aid received based on the filing of the FAFSA or WASFA. And next year, of course, it'll be based on the 25-26 FAFSA or WASFA. Connie, next slide, yours.
Thanks, Marla. This slide is just showing how you are going to create the CSV file in the ctLink system. This isn't a new page for many of you. Anybody who's ran any type of state reporting through ctcLink is familiar with this page. The navigation is financial aid, CTC custom, CTC reports, state FA reporting. And on this page, you're going to enter your institution and aid year, 2025, the designated file path, which on the screen, has your institution in there and WCG 2025 file path. The report type will remain blank. Once you have that information in there, you will select Run. Next slide, please. Then you will come to this Process Scheduler request page. You will select the Unit Record Report checkbox and select OK. And the report file is generated in a CSV format, and it's going to have a header row, and it's going to include who received awards for the 24-25 aid year. The ctcLink unit record report will select need-based recipients and those non-need-based federal loan recipients.
These next 3 slides list the programs that need to be reported. So I don't need to go through the individual names, just draw your attention to all of the programs that we anticipate will be part of your submission. Next slide, please. So this slide illustrates the other programs. There may be ones that are not listed here, but it gives you an idea of what we're looking at for need-based recipients, other programs. And really, we're looking for a complete picture of state aid. Next slide. And this slide just lists the federal non-need-based loan recipients. So it's all federal loan assistance needs to be reported, whether it's need-based or not. Keep in mind that for dependent students who submit a FAFSA without any family information, they are eligible to receive the unsubsidized Stafford federal loan, but their FAFSA will be rejected. So keep that in mind. For basic food and employment training, or BFET, this is a subset of the worker retraining funds. And if your college receives these funds, we want you to report them under worker retraining funds. We understand not everybody has the ability to report this, but we would like you to report it if you can. Connie?
So there is a little bit of or there may be some unit record reporting setup that's required in the ctcLink system. The global setup for unit record report in ctcLink has the ethnicity category and the award category. And the award category includes the need-based, FAFSA, WASFA, data required or optional, non-need-based loans or other, and it includes the award maximum amounts. Institution-based configuration for ctcLink unit record report. The UR ethnicity category is linked to PeopleSoft ethnic group values. And the award category is linked to your FA item type and award status, for example, offered, accepted, or dispersed. And the configuration information is included in our unit record reporting business processing guide.
So there are some changes for the 24-25 unit record report in the portal. And the most obvious one is the student aid index replaces the expected family contribution. And the SAI should be reported as a negative integer or a positive integer based on what that SAI calculation is. A negative SAI effectively is treated as a zero in the need equation. So even if the student has a negative 1,500 in 24-25, that will be treated as zero in the need calculation. So the subtraction of SAI from COA in the need formula must not result in a negative need amount. Negative need amounts are invalid and must be adjusted to show zero need. As a result of the EFC going away and changing to SAI, there are fields that are no longer collected. So the marital status is dependent. Family size, number in college, and family income have all been deleted in the field headers. And as a result of those deletions, error codes associated with the deleted file headers have been removed. And you can see the error code revisions on page IV in the 24-25 unit record report manual. Enrollment status has been a challenge for us this year. As you know, this is our first year with SAI, so we're having to change how we think about how we did business before. So you need to report unit using the enrollment intensity credits. So 0, 1, or 1.00, anything that you put in that field will can be used. You shouldn't get an error on that. Invalid input examples, though, are the last years of not enrolled, full-time, half-time, three-quarter time, or less than half-time. So let us know if you have any issues with this information. We do have a couple of new WASAC programs. Behavioral Health Conditional Scholarship begin in 25-26. So they weren't added. I mean, they're added, but you should have no information on this. And the Substance Use Disorder Professional Grant is reportable in 24-25. We're looking for consistency with other financial aid reporting, such as Seesaw. Other changes, the error codes that formerly referenced expected family contribution now reference SAI, or Student Aid Index. The total awarded financial aid exceeds the reported need amount error replaces total need-based aid exceeds the reported need amount. The cost minus SAI minus OFA exceeds need amount. OFA is now other financial assistance. In the past, it was referred to as EFA. You have the ability to restore deleted unit record. And you can see this in the manual on pages 56 through 58. And we'll also go through how to restore deleted unit records in her portion of the presentation. Please refer to pages III, IV, and V in the manual for additional details. There are reporting requirements in the CSV files. There has to be a header row. And there is a revised sample available on the website. For all financial aid students reported, the required fields are the SSN, first name, last name, gender, is state resident, year in school, ISER or WASPA transaction number. We use this because it helps us match with Seesaw data. Rejected ISER WASPA, if it's rejected, that needs to be input. And enrollment status for each of all 5 terms, and the financial aid for each of all 5 terms, even if it's 0. You need to report financial aid for each of the 5 terms based on the 24-25 FAFSA or WASPA. You're all familiar with the terms. It just depends on your structure as to which ones will have enrollment in them. Summer 1, fall, winter, spring, summer 2. And clock hour schools may report aid for both summer terms and all 5 terms. And one caution that I throw out is that if you have more than one summer term, so like a summer 1, summer 2 term, we want you to report the total amount received and the enrollment status as one enrollment term. So it will be summer, but you may have a summer 1 and a summer 2 component. Chapter 2 has more detailed information. Additional fields to report that are required are the ISER WASPA transaction number, rejected ISER WASPA, need duration, cost of attendance, student aid index, and the need amount. We're going to talk now about a few of the selected fields that we find often problems with. And the first one is Social Security numbers. There can be no duplicated Social Security numbers. That file won't upload. So make sure that the Social Security numbers are right. Invalid sequence numbers are flagged, so we ask you not to use dummy numbers. Our student Social Security numbers are matched to Seesaw and other portal records for all state aid programs. So SSNs have to match between the unit record and Seesaw or obligation tracker records. The conditional programs are some of those workforce programs. If you discover any of these discrepancies, you'll need to contact us to correct the links to ensure the data history is correct. And I just want to say a little bit about Social Security numbers and duplicates. We have discrepancy reports out there that you should really take a good look at, because if you have discrepant SSN numbers, you might be able to see them before you submit your file. And Anne will take a look at this more carefully in her part of the presentation, but it's really important. Last year we had, for example, institutions where they reported as paid the same students who had 2 different Social Security numbers. When we ran across that, the end result was, after we were able to update that, the institution owed WASAC for all of the state aid that the student with the wrong Social Security number got. So they got 2 WCG, 2 Bridge, or 2 CBS, and they had to repay that wrong student. So it's something that you really need to try and mitigate before you submit that file. Year in school, this slide illustrates basically the year in school, and it's required for all recipients. And we would like you to report the status as of the beginning of the term of the recipient's last financial aid disbursement for the 24-25 year. So if they change grade levels midway through the academic year, your reporting of this year in school would be what that grade level was at that time of the year. So if they went from freshman to sophomore, you would report them as a sophomore. Also, recently, in the last week or so, we discovered that institutions are not reporting running start students or non-matriculated students as 8 or other. And this is something we would hope that you would be able to catch. The reason we identified it was because we ran into some problems with CBS students. And as you know, non-matriculated students are not eligible for federal or state aid. So it's important that you identify the students properly. Next slide, please. Other considerations for year in school: don't automatically use the year reported on the FAFSA or WASFA. Students have a tendency to exaggerate their year in school, so they may not have enough credits to be a junior. So you all know this, and it's something that happens frequently. Report the highest year in school for which the student attended when the student's financial aid was dispersed, and use Code 8 to report need-based aid for Running Start students or other students who have not yet graduated from high school. As I said, and you know, we're using index this year instead of EFC. So use the SAI from the federal methodology calculation produced by the U.S. Department of Education based on the 24-25 FAFSA or the WASFA. Report the federal methodology SAI even if you're using institutional methodology and it produces a different SAI. Federal methodology SAI is not prorated for need duration if less than or greater than 9 months per federal regulations. This has been an adjustment for us as well as you. However, WASAC allows adjustments by professional judgment decisions using IM for the awarding of state aid only. If you do this, you need to report the institutional methodology calculation in the override comment. You'll either be able to, it would throw an error, and you can explain that you have prorated the student's SAI and tell us what you're using as duration and the cost for that. If you do use proration for one student, you need to use proration for all students. Cost of attendance is one of the elements. Most campuses use several student budgets to reflect changes in living expenses. The COA and need duration must align for the same number of months. FMSAI may not be adjusted for less than or greater than 9 months. Report the student budget related to the need amount, and the cost of attendance should be based on the number of months reported in the need duration. I did see a question out there.
Yes, Marla, there is a question. There's one about enrollment intensity, double checking that the full-time, half-time, three-quarter time status are no longer eligible, and it must be a digit number such as 12 credits, 6 credits, etc.
That's correct. The unit record will no longer accept full-time, half-time, and three-quarter time.
There is also a question for SBCTC. For the URR, is there a way for the URR to identify students who are running start or non-matriculated to be able to code them as 8 other for grade level? At times, our S students may be eligible for institutional funding, 58 funds for books, supplies that is need-based, so reportable.
Are you able to answer that, Connie?
Yeah, we're probably going to have to come back to you with that answer to that question, Ashley. So we'll just make a note of it and we'll get an answer to you.
And we do have another question that popped in. On the SAI slide, will you clarify PJ versus must prorate for all students? Typically, PJ is performed on a case-by-case basis. Why would colleges need to PJ all students for proration?
What I'm saying there and what we've decided here is that if you use SAI proration for one student, then for any student that you prorate, where you use proration, it would need to be identified on the unit record slide. Does that answer your question, Chantel? I get that PJ is a case-by-case basis, but what we're saying is if you use a prorated SAI for one student, you'd need to use that for all students. I think they're two distinct situations.
I think too, this also addresses the fact that proration of SAI is only for state aid. And so it would not be reported on the details page as such. It would be reported as the full SAI. But in the awarding of state aid, if you use that PJ to prorate SAI, you would need to make sure you include those details in the override comment or in the notes section so that we're aware that's what you're doing.
Thanks, Anne. Next slide, please.
Marla, Chantal does have a follow-up in saying, so it's not PJ then.
We're calling it professional judgment for the state aid programs. So we're referring to it, we use it as professional judgment, saying that you are using your professional judgment and allowing a student to receive state aid with prorated SAI for that aid only. So it's just a semantics, I guess.
Connie, there is a question for you as well. Is grade level auto updated, or will we need to manually update all students?
I'll have to take a closer look. That's pulled in on the CSV. So, but I'll take a closer look at it to, I guess I'm not, where are you talking, Millicent, about where is it updated automatically? Like on the CSV file, is it updated? Like it's pulled in on the file.
I think they're asking, will it be an automatic calculation if they change, say, grade level from freshman to sophomore mid-year? Will the information that's listed on the CSV submission be that latest grade level? I think. I could be wrong, but that's my take.
Okay, I'll take a look at that. Millicent, we'll get back to you.
So this slide depicts the need amount calculation, and you're all very familiar with this. It's the cost of attendance minus SAI equals your need amount. And it's based on the months reported and the need duration. But SAI is not prorated for need duration. For need amount, report the amount used in the disbursement of aid. And report need amount as 0 or higher. Do not report a negative need value. If there is a negative SAI, it's treated as 0 in the need calculation. Over awards are flagged when cost of attendance minus SAI minus other financial assistance exceeds the need amount. Next slide, please. Report the need duration based on the number of months for which the need amount and cost of attendance were reported. Normally, it's an integer from 1 to 12. This is where if you adjust one element for state financial aid, you'll need to adjust all the elements. We want consistency over the same time period. This slide depicts the term enrollment status from the institution type that you have. So undergraduate enrollment status for not enrolled in the unit record, it should be 0, full-time 12 to 13, 3/4 time is 9 to 11.75 credits, half-time is 6 to 8.75, and less than half-time is 1 to 5.75. And typically clock hour term awards are for full-time enrollment status, except that the final term may be paid for part-time enrollment status, unless, of course, the student's out of QER. Connie?
So for the term enrollment status in ctcLink, this is going to be pulled from the units taken box on the FA term page. So it is a change from prior years. And like the prior slide showed, the values are reported as credits now instead of full-time, 3/4 time, half-time, or less than half-time, or not enrolled. And they will come up as anything from 0 credits to 30 credits, and that will be populated on the new file lay out the number of credits.
For the Washington College grant, College Bound Scholarship, Passport to College, and WAB Bridge grant, report the final awards and enrollment levels of the student at the time of disbursement. The unit record reporting tool checks awards against the Seesaw records. Review the WCG, CBS, and Passport Differences report to verify all recipients and awards are correctly reported. This discrepancy report is really your friend. The information on it can, at a glance, show you where discrepancies lie. So we really encourage you to take a good look at that so that you can try and address those issues through your edits and early on. Tuition waiver dollars for WCG and CBS, it's required for 24-25. And reporting the tuition waiver gives us an accurate representation of all forms of assistance that needy students are receiving. You'd include the full assessed tuition and fee amounts in each student's cost of attendance to reflect the tuition prior to the application of the waivers. And you'll report waivers in the financial aid resource as either need-based institutional gift aid or non-need-based institutional gift aid. For state work study, you're going to report on-campus and off-campus employment separately. You'll report the student's total gross earnings, including employer match or institutional share. Include your summer employment, report either actual gross earnings based on the monthly cutoff dates or institutional payroll dates, or average gross term earnings over the academic year for all terms the student was at least half-time. The total reported in your state work study needs to be very close to what was reported in the final recon to the state work study program staff. State work study staff review this section of the unit record for accuracy and may contact the school if there's a substantial difference between the reporting and year-end recon records on file with state work study. Institutional gift aid will be reported as need-based institutional gift aid, and that's aid for which the WASFA or FAFSA was required in order to award it, or non-need-based institutional gift aid, where WASFA or FAFSA is not necessarily a requirement. It includes all institutional funds awarded to Running Start or non-matriculated students. And then there are other state-funded gift assistance programs that should be reported in other state aid because there's nowhere else to put them. And examples are American Indian Endowed Scholarship, Student Emergency Assistance Grant, supporting students experiencing homeless pilots. Those are just a few. There may be others.
Marla, we have a question.
Okay.
It says, can you go back? Do I understand correctly that we will be reporting tuition and fee actuals this year? And is this new? If so, Connie, can you talk about where this is pulled from? Will it be accounting for tuition refunds after disbursement?
You're, Ashley, if I'm understanding your question, when we ask about the cost of attendance, it's based on your cost of attendance information in your system. Is that what you were asking? It hasn't changed. So you report tuition fees, room and board, books and supplies, travel, and miscellaneous in your total cost of attendance. We're moving on to edits now. And edits help ensure data quality. We have only 2 informational edits effective for 24-25, and this has been used for every year since I've been around. Date of birth outside expected range. That's an informational edit, and all you need to do in that informational edit would be to say it's okay, or the person is actually as young or as old as they say. And the student aid index is outside an expected range. Same thing. Appendix C lists all edit errors and what action needs to take place. And there are different types of errors. And this slide is depicting those errors that prevent file upload. Refer to Appendix C, page 84 in the manual for the list of those, but some examples of the errors that prevent upload are the header row missing or invalid, duplicate social security numbers, using invalid codes, blanks reported in the required fields. So rejected ISER or WASF is a required field, so something needs to be there. Make sure you review all 12 items. And then there are must-fix non-overridable error examples. Again, refer to Appendix C, pages 84 through 87 in the manual. Non-resident with a WCG or other state aid. They need to be a resident to be receiving state aid. Cost of attendance is required for FAFSA-based and WASFA aid types, and no valid institutional state work study allocation in the portal. Those are non-overridable examples. We also have overridable error examples, and you can refer to Appendix C, pages 84 through 87, under the field content. Need amount is 0 with need-based aid. The example would be there's a budget change with dropped credits. Year in school for aid type. This generally refers to the federal Grad Plus loan. The student graduated mid-year and changed to graduate status following the term. So that is an overridable error. Cost of attendance minus SAI calculated by the edit program does not equal the need amount reported by the college. So those are some examples. Connie?
Thanks, Marla. So once the URR has been ran, you will have edit reports and that are populated. It's recommended that the reports be reviewed and worked in order shown here, just to verify that the setup and errors are addressed prior to reviewing the data that's going to be included in the URR extract. The first report is the C report, the missing item type report. And this report will identify any financial aid item type that's been awarded to a student with an amount greater than 0 and qualifies to be reported in the unit record report extract file, but the item type does not exist in the unit record report configuration setup page. Report B is your error detail and summary report. And this report is separated into 2 sections, so there'll be 2 tabs on it. The first tab contains a list of students sorted by last name, first name, and then the IMPL ID. students who have one or more errors, and the error message number and the description are included. And the second tab contains a list of all error messages encountered on the first tab with a total student count for each. Appendix C in our URR business processing guide will have suggestions on resolving each error condition. And the report A is going to be your student detailed report. This report provides a list of the student details to be included in the extract file. In addition, the dollar amounts for each award received by the student is tallied and provided in the total columns. And I do just want to take a quick second here to let you all know that the new file layout is not yet in production. We're still waiting for an update on the WASAC side before we fully test the new file upload. So if an email went out a couple of weeks ago letting y'all know that the file's not there, you can run the URR process. However, it might go to no success, and it was spelled out in the email why you might receive that message, because you don't want to take the CSV that is being generated now and try to upload it to the portal, because it will be rejected because it's not a compatible file layout.
So some reminders on edits. Keep your override comments brief, but with sufficient detail to directly address the error message. We use your override comments to update the unit record as we need to. So the clearer the override, the better the comment. The ICER WASFA transaction number reported should be the most recent used to award the student. It's not necessarily the last one filed. This is used to compare the FAFSA WASFA to unit record and CSOF for discrepancies related to the student aid index. Comparisons appear in the On File tab in the unit record, student record. Some other just informational, when you're calculating, and you can find this on pages 32 through 34 of the WCG CBS manual 2425. When calculating family income for dependent students, count the parents' adjusted gross income and the non-taxable income. Do not include the student's income. And conversely, when you're calculating family income for an independent student, count the student's AGI and non-taxable income and that of the spouse if the student is married. For both dependent and independent students, use the sum of all taxable plus non-taxable income if the AGI is not present. And that's for the parents, not student, dependent student, because they're a non-tax filer. Next slide, please. Report the full non-prorated student aid index per federal regulations, even if the student attended less than full year. WASAC allows for professional judgment adjustment of SAI using institutional methodology for the awarding of state aid programs. In these instances, report IM and SAI adjustment details for the state aid award in the override comment or notes where an override is not available. It must be consistently applied to all students if applied to one student. Report all known race categories for each student, even where Hispanic origin is marked Y. This eliminates gaps in research data.
So some reminders for our ctcLink system. Our unit record basic steps. You're going to want to reconcile your awards, add or update your unit record report configuration tables, run unit record report. The unit record report can be ran as many times as needed, and each time a new CSV file will be generated for review. Like I said, the current layout the new layout is not in the system yet, so it's still the old layout. You're going to want to review your reports and correct any errors, rerun your unit record report, download the CSV data file to a desktop or local network drive, and then upload that CSV file to the WASAC portal when it's ready.
Some tips and best practices. Upload your CSV file early. Don't wait until the deadline. Sometimes we underestimate the time it'll take to finish the review of it. Review WASAC's 24-25 unit record manual and training materials. Test uploads using the portal training environments, the portaltraining.wasac.wa.gov. Use the unit record informational reports to check for consistency and validity. CTCs, you want to review your 24-25 SBCTC URR processing guide when it's available. And please contact WASAC with questions or issues not addressed in the WASAC's unit record manual. We revisit this over time, and when we learn of things that need changing, we will update the unit record manual as needed. Make sure you update your portal and portal training bookmarks so that you have easy access to the portal. We will be sending we'll be sending a notice when the session has been posted to the web and is available for you to share with others. Are there any other questions before we move to Anne's portion of the portal application?
There are no open questions at this point.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Anne?
Wait, sorry.
Oh, there is one?
Yes, it just came in, sorry. SBTC, is there a time frame for updated file? Highline is running to no success with the known issues, so we can't work on errors until we get these files.
Right, so we're waiting. There's one last update that WASAC is needing to put into production on the portal. I believe it's just the waiting of, or the one credit. That was an update that we needed to make. It wasn't accepting the one credit enrollment level. Once that is ready to go and I get confirmation from WASAC that's been updated, then I can test it on our end again and then get a couple of college testers to test the file upload. I would love to be able to tell you an exact date. However, I'm waiting on a lot of other people for things to get done. So, you know, as soon as those updates happen, then I can get it tested quickly. And then I've got to reach out to my college testers and hopefully they'll be available to test quickly as well. So we'll keep you updated as soon as we know that we can get that live into production. We'll send an email out letting you know.
And just so you're aware of why it's a problem is when we create, as I said, SAI is new to us. And for our purposes, 2 credits was the minimum for which state aid could be awarded. And Connie actually notified us that there are a number of you where one credit is what the students are taking. So we had to adjust the portal and the unit record information to accommodate that 1 credit, and it's taking a little bit longer than we had anticipated, but we expect it any time from our developers.
Yes, I understand that it is in their peer review. And so we expect that it will not be long before we're able to release that live. But sometime within the next few days, hopefully, we'll be able to get that going. Okay. So here we begin with the use of the unit record web application. As most of you are aware, there are a couple of ways to get to this site. There is a menu item on our agency's main webpage under administration. I believe the first link in that dropdown is a direct link to the portal. There's also uh, getting to that site by entering the full web address into your address bar, and you see the address right there at the top. As a note, if you're trying to reach portal training to test out your file, the only modification you need to make to that web address is to add training to the word portal. So it would be portaltraining.wasac.wa.gov. So if you're looking for that training site to test out your file before actually uploading into the production site, that is how you would get there. Once you have logged in, go to your programs menu, and the number of programs you see in your drop-down will depend on which programs you're authorized to work in. But click on the unit record option, and that will take you to the welcome page. And you'll see at the top of that screen is a navigation bar. You are able to move forward from one tab to the next based on the completion of the information that needs to be completed for that particular screen. The upload screen I want to point out in this little red box, which is not highlighted that way in the portal itself, but I wanted to be sure you saw this, that when you upload your CSV file, if you have omitted records for students that WASAC has award payments in either Seesaw or in the obligation tracker, it will auto load what we call a skeleton file or a skeleton record for that student. And that skeleton file is relatively blank. It has the student's name and social number, and whatever errors are generated by the lack of that award information in your upload. So if you have a student who's received WCG in our records, but you have no unit record for that person, it will auto load a blank one and show an error for that WCG award that isn't present. So you are expected to complete that skeleton record and then save that in order to fill that gap. Once you have located on your PC the record or the file in the CSV format by clicking Browse, this will autofill with your file name, and then click Start Upload. If you have a successful upload right away, you'll receive that message. It will be present in the top left-hand corner. On the other hand, if you have what I call critical errors that prevent your file upload, you will receive a pink box, and it should list in there all of the rows where there is an error that needs to be corrected in that file before it can be uploaded. On occasion, there may be an odd error where it will not load those errors. If that happens, make sure you reach out to us and let us know. And then we'll track down what that error means and have that resolved for you so that you can upload another file. Now, if you do receive this critical error message, you are able to download that list of errors. And as I said, it has the row numbers, the type of error, and why it's not acceptable. So you can download that file as a CSV, work through those errors, make the correction to your original file, and then this button is available, Try Again. So in that Try Again, it deletes that previous file, which has never really completely uploaded, and that will allow you to upload that corrected file. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 4 types of errors that you can encounter as you're working in the unit record. As I mentioned, the critical error is the one that will prevent your file from uploading right up front. Those errors have to be corrected in the upload file before you can attempt to re-upload that file. The must fix will appear after your file has uploaded, and these are what we call non-overwritable errors. And those corrections must be made to the student record also before you are able to move forward to complete your unit record submission. So if you don't fix them right up front, you will need to fix them before you can click the submit button at the very tail end of your work in the unit record. Overwritable is an error that will allow you to either correct the record or provide us with an override explanation in that record. The informational errors are exactly that. They do not require that you make an override comment, but we do ask that you look at that record and make sure that the information that it contains is accurate. If it's not accurate, we ask that you do make that correction or provide us with a reason why you fully feel that it's good as it is. We do review each of those informational errors just to be sure that we have accuracy in the unit record. Now, once you have a successful file upload, it will take you to the main institutional error screen, and that is a list of all of the errors that were generated by the validation of your upload file. And you can sort these in many different ways. You can, in this top piece, click on status. The drop down will provide you with the ability to sort by only overwritable, those that are overridden if you want to check your work, see if you have any informational errors. And then the other type is to view all your error types. The drop down will only list the error types that are present in your specific upload file. So if you don't have any errors in a particular area, those will not appear. It is only those that you need to work with. You can also sort the file by all of the column headers. And then, you can, by sorting that, you can work on only one error type at a time or all of the errors for a particular student record. I know that some institutions assign different people to do different kinds of error resolution. So you have that ability to make that choice. In order to open the specific unit record, click on the highlighted Social Security number. It will be in the light blue. If it's black, it means you're already in the record. So once you are in the record, as I mentioned, there's no click function. The only way to navigate within that record is to click on one of the 4 tabs. The details tab we'll go over in a little bit, the same with the terms and the on file. The errors will be listed similarly as you see in the main institutional error list. You can download the results if you want to keep track of those or make your comments. And the reason you might want to do that is if you are planning on doing a bulk override for errors that have the same error and a similar resolution in your override comment. But in order to navigate within that record, you would just click on any one of those 4 tabs. You can enter your override comments from this screen. When you click on the little box in front of that SOCH number, it will activate this override reason field. You can enter your information there and then click on the blue override errors button in order to enter that into your record. Be sure that you click save before you exit. Otherwise, the record will not retain the information that you place in there. The first tab in that student record is the details tab, and you'll notice it looks very similar to the details tab from prior years because we are no longer collecting certain information in terms of family income, dependency status, number in college, family size. You'll see that this little section of that screen no longer contains those fields. We do ask that you complete all of the other fields in order to not generate any errors. This rejected field, I want to mention specifically, if that student has a rejected ISER or WASFA, you would click yes here. You would also click yes if the student never filed a WASFA or FAFSA, because that will be an indicator that some of this other information does not need to be completed. Otherwise, you will generate an error if it says no, and that student, if you've left this blank and, provide information that is going to invalidate perhaps an award that requires FAFSA or WASFA information, such as WCG or college bound. So none of those awards can take a rejected ISER or WASFA. So be sure that you complete that field. It's very important. In order to edit, you click directly into those fields, make the change, and then be sure that you click the Save button up in the corner. In the Terms tab, this particular view shows an abbreviated view of the only program that this particular student has received aid, and that would be Washington College Grant. If you realize that that student had other aid that needs to be reported, you can see a show all to receive a drop down of all of the programs for which the unit record collects information, and then complete those fields. And then if you want to go back to this abbreviated, you would unclick the show all. It will then show only those programs for which the student received aid. In order to freeze the view, in other words, if you want to see all of the programs for all of the student records, you can leave this on show all and then click to lock that view. And then you'll find that all of your other records beyond that point will also show the full view of all programs. So you can click it to lock it as an abbreviated view or allow for the full view of all programs. Once again, you would click directly into those fields to make any changes or corrections, and then click Save in the upper right corner. We do still have the On File tab, and you'll notice that most of the FAFSA or WASFA information is no longer recorded there. It used to include all of the family income and you know, some of the family size, number in college, that kind of thing. Because those are now considered federal tax information that are not shareable. We do not include that in this view any longer, but we do include the SAI. So if you report in the unit record an SAI that does not match the ISA or WASFA, that will generate an error and you will see a red X. In this particular case, they match, so it's a green check. Now, for any difference where they are not matching, you will see a red X, and that's a clue that there is an issue. The program data is actually out of Seesaw, or for these, it would be from the obligation tracker. And then the unit record is what you yourself as an institution have reported has been dispersed to that student. So in this particular case, there is an issue because our program data shows that we've only dispersed $974 and the unit record is the 1461. So it does generate an error. This is a little bit more detail about entering override comments. You can apply the override, as I said, while you're in the student record itself, or if you're in the institutional error list, you can also make that entry. As I mentioned, you click the little box in front of the student social number, which activates the field. You enter your override comment and click the blue override button. And this button will show how many errors you are applying that override comment to. In this case, there's only one checkbox, and so it will override only that one. Once you've entered that, click that save, and this overridable text that's in red will turn green and say overridden. That's your clue that that has been applied effectively. You can quickly view the override comment that you've entered in one of two ways. You can hover your cursor over that green overridden comment and it will show you a pop-up that has your error message in there. Or if you actually click on that green overridden status, it will drop it down into that error list and you'll see it as part of that error list. I want to note also, if you see this little blue pencil, that is an indicator that that comment can be edited. And generally speaking, comments can be edited only by the original writer of that comment. In other words, if you have more than one person working in the unit record and they happen to come across this record because perhaps you're having edits, different types of edits done by different people, they are not able to come in and modify this. It's only the person who initially wrote that. There is a possibility of adding additional comments, so it is a historical reference for us. But generally speaking, I think once there is an override comment in here and it's overridden, you either have to add a note and specify it's for this student or somehow generate an error in order to change that status back to overridable and then add a comment to it. As I mentioned, override comments are editable only by the original writer, and that also is prior to the submission of the unit record. The only way you are able to add to that comment once it has been submitted is if the unit record is reverted by a WASAC reviewer, and then you can add a new comment. However, you aren't able to edit it by you know, if it's been submitted, you aren't able to go back in and edit that specific comment. It does need to be an additional comment after a rejection. And the way you do that, once again, select the error, and then it will allow you to enter a new override comment, and then it will change that overridable status to overridden. If you need additional detail about that, you will find that in Chapter 3 of the Unit Record Manual on pages 41 through 44. As Marla mentioned, we do have a number of Social Security mismatches. Sometimes those require what we call a person merge. If there are two Social Security numbers out there, it all depends on where that mismatch is generated from. If there is an incorrect social number that originates outside of the unit record, perhaps in Seesaw or the obligation tracker, that will require WASAC assistance to correct or to merge that record to a different social number. In that case, we do need to reach out to our IT staff, and the way you would notify us is to click on send us an email anywhere where you see that link, and then give us that specific information, the name of the student, the correct social number, the incorrect social number, so we know that, you know, which are the two that we're trying to identify and merge or correct. I want to mention also that this send us an email is not active if you are working in Portal Training. Portal Training is not a production site, and it does not generate emails. So if you need to send us an email securely, you either need to do that in the live production unit record portal, or go to your messages in the secure email side of the portal and send us an email that way. Now, if the social number error is originating in the unit record itself, you can make that correction directly by going to that student record and then entering the correct social number in that SSN field. Be sure that you click Save to retain the change in that record. I will talk a little bit more about how you can identify when you have an individual that may have two records, one in Seesaw that does not match what you have indicated in the unit record. But we'll talk about that in a little bit later slide. Now, bulk override processing is available to you if you have errors that have similar resolutions or comments that need to be made. You can do that and apply it to multiple records at the same time. We do ask that you be sure that it truly does resolve that error for all of those students. Sometimes a student can have an error that has a different reason that needs to be articulated in that override comment than those others that may be receiving that same error. So what we we ask is that you apply those bulk overrides judiciously. Make sure that you have reviewed those records to see whether a correction is required rather than applying a bulk override. And the easiest way to identify who might be a candidate for a bulk override is to select that particular error type, which will then filter the list. And then you can look at each of those records individually, make note of which ones could be overridden with the same comment. And then you would check those specific social numbers and process that override comment. And you see here, because we have two override errors, it indicates that it's 2 in this override button. Now, if you find that you're able to apply that bulk override to all of the records that are shown in that filtered list, click on the little box next to the social number, and it will auto select all of the records that are within that filtered list and apply that override reason to all of those records at the same time. Be sure that you click save, and that will retain all of the changes to all of the records. Now, if you find that you need to delete those bulk overrides, you would check the selected records that you want to delete that override from, and then you will activate also this grayed box, and it will also tell you how many overrides will be deleted, and then click that box, again, click save. So there is a way to back out the overrides. Keep in mind, though, that that does remain in the override history for that student record if you delete. There are a couple of ways to search for existing unit records if you need to edit them. You can go back to this upload button. There is on that screen a search students button. And the other way is to open the search screen at the top of the unit record, and it will bring up this box where you can load a comma-separated Social Security list. If you have several people that you need to make changes for, you can include that, or you can search by any field, by the last name, social number, student ID, or by any dollar amount that you may have in some of these fields. But recognize that if you're looking, well, in this particular case, we no longer are searching for family income. And this obviously is an old screenshot. I should have updated it for SAI. But if you put in, say, 1,500, it will pull up anything that has that dollar amount in it. So we recommend usually using either last name or that SSN list. Once you have that list in your search, you can edit that record by clicking on the social number. Once again, make whatever changes you need to make, then click save. You are also able to delete unit records that do not have existing awards in the seesaw or obligation tracker. If what you're trying to do is delete a record because you have corrected all of their awards to 0, you're able to delete the award unless that award still exists in either seesaw or the obligation tracker. In that case, make note in the override comment when that error generates that you are returning funds for that student. And we will then delete that record after the fact. Once your unit record has been submitted and we finalize and close the unit record, we then delete all of those records that no longer apply. Generally speaking, that record will continue to exist until those refund dollars are sent back to WASAC, and that seesaw or obligation tracker amount is then zeroed out by those refund dollars. So that's just an FYI on this delete key. Now, once you've made all of your changes and saved, you return to the list. This particular return to list will take you back to the search screen because that's where this particular record originated out of. So once you are back at the search screen, you would click Go to Report, and that will take you back to the main errors page. You're able to manually add student records if you realize that you have an additional student that has awards that may not have been included in your original upload. These may be students that don't have state aid, which would have generated an auto load of that skeleton record. And you can do the addition from a couple of different places. On that main error screen, there is an add record button. And also from this upload screen, there is an add record. So from either one of those locations, if you click add record, it will open up a fully blank record. So you'll notice it will just have the details and the terms screen. Complete those in full, and then be sure that you click save in order to retain that record. Generally speaking, you'll receive immediate feedback if there are errors in that new record. You can make the corrections at that time or enter override comments, and be sure you click save on that. Occasionally, we find that it is not a transparent error right up front. So when you return to the error screen, make sure that you click that revalidate button. And what it does is it reprocesses your errors. And once you have fully processed all of your errors and have addressed them, you'll notice this continue to review button will appear. To manually delete student records, as I mentioned, you would open that student record and click delete, and then click confirm delete. As I mentioned earlier, auto added records cannot be deleted until those funds come back, and that seesaw or obligation tracker record has been zeroed out. A new feature this year is the ability to restore a deleted record. So if you have accidentally deleted a record or realized later that there is a reason to retain that record, you will notice in that errors list, it will show unit record deleted. So they no longer just disappear into oblivion. You will be able to see that that record has been removed, and then click into that record and you will see another button that says restore deleted unit record. Click on that and it will bring your student record back into active status in the unit record. You also have the ability to upload a supplemental file after you have uploaded your original file. And you must still use that valid CSV header as the top row of the file and include complete student record information in each data row. That said, the supplemental file does not need to include all of your student records. This is what I'd call an adjustment file. You can add or delete records or make changes to multiple records that are in that supplemental file simultaneously. So it is like a mixed use file upload. If you're editing an existing record, make sure that you've retained that full data, all of those headers as you need them to appear. So only overwrite the data that needs to be changed for those, but retain all of the fields. What this record does, the supplemental file upload does, is it will overwrite existing data for the affected students. So for those that you want to only make a change, you still need to have that full line of data. If you are adding a student, also the full line of data needs to be present. The full line of data needs to be present for those that you are attempting to delete. Once you have uploaded a supplemental file and it's successful, you can't discard it. You must edit those records from the search or errors screen, or you must upload a compensating supplemental file that reverses whatever it was you did. An unsuccessful file upload will feature that try again button. So you can use that same file data and then make your corrections and then attempt to re-upload that file. This is a cutaway example of the supplemental file creation. As you notice, the original file upload also contains this is delete, which must be present in order for your file upload to successfully be retained by the unit record. It's also there in the supplemental file. And what you place in this column will determine what happens to the data that is contained in that row. So if there is a true or a yes or a Y in the field, it will delete that record from the unit record. Now, again, the cautionary note is if that record has Seesaw awards or obligation tracker awards that have not been returned yet, it will not allow you to delete that record, but it will delete other types of records as needed. Now, if it is says false, it will retain that record because it may indicate that you are making field changes that don't require the deletion of that record. You're just making updates, or it's an indicator that you are adding a new unit record to the upload altogether. After creating that supplemental file, and I'll talk a little bit about how you might create that file in a little bit. Navigate to the upload screen, and there is a button that says add file. Then that is different from add record. Add file is for the supplemental upload file. And then search your PC for your CSV file that contains the supplemental records. Click start upload. If your upload is successful, you'll see that right away. Otherwise, you will get that pink box with all of those little error messages in it. If you receive the error that shows critical errors and no upload, you are able to click a try again. I'm seeing here, I must have left a screenshot out. It will give you the same options as if you had a critical error on your original file. It will show, try again and delete record. In that particular case, because you are deleting a file with critical errors, it's not a deletion of your entire unit record. It is just a deletion of that supplemental file. Now, if you have a successfully uploaded supplemental file, just click that continue, and it will take you back to that edit screen where you can then process whatever errors you may have generated. There's also the ability to add notes to the unit record. And the explanatory notes apply not to a specific student record unless you tell us it is for a specific student record. Perhaps there was not an override ability on that record. You can come here to this notes page, but make sure in that event that you include all of that student information, their name and their social number, so that we can identify to which record your note applies. Generally speaking, the add a note is more of an overall comment in working with your unit record that you want us to know, so that as we're reviewing, perhaps it's a comment related to that program totals report that we'll talk about in just a minute. If you answer questions up front in this notes area, it may prevent us from having to give you a call later to ask that question as we're doing our reviews. This is similar. You enter your comments in the field, save the note, and you'll notice that this comment is also overwritable and editable. Click on that blue pencil. The original writer can change or modify that, or they can delete it by clicking the red X. Multiple notes can be added. So if you've got a note in there relating to one topic, you can go back into the add notes and add another comment that might relate to a whole different topic. All of those are accumulative in that history, and that comes to us with your submission of the unit record. We review those before we start your reviews in order to understand what we need to know as we're looking at those records. After you've addressed all your errors and all the edits are complete, you'll notice that this continue to review button appears, and you're able to click and move forward towards another step towards your submission. This takes you to the preliminary program totals report, and what we ask that you do is take a look at this. It is a comparison of the previous, the current year plus the previous 3 years, data that you have submitted to us through the unit record. The percent change columns actually are a comparison of the current year with the previous year. If you see there are any data that cause question, that may be a heads up. You need to go back and take a look at your individual data records to be sure that perhaps a program wasn't placed in the wrong field, or you know, that if it seems very high, that you may want to take a look at how it was downloaded to you into the unit record report. to see what changes might need to be made. If you have major questions, please contact us to discuss those questions. The other thing I want to mention is that we do look at these percent changes. If there are large changes, you may see that they're highlighted in different colors. So those would be a heads up to take a closer look at those numbers. And quite often there are valid reasons for that, but that would be what perhaps you may want to make a note in. That other, see here where it says add a note. That might be where you want to give us a heads up about the reasoning why there is a large change, either higher or lower than the previous year. And that may answer questions that we have as we're reviewing this report. Now, we do call this the preliminary program totals report, and it's because it is a report of all the information that you have included in your unit record report, including records that are for students that do not have at least $1 of need and are not receiving funds from the reportable federal programs. Those records are deleted from the unit record after we have finalized and closed the unit record. So there can be changes between this preliminary program totals report and the final ones that is available at the time the profile reports are posted. So we ask that you download a copy of this version of the preliminary and download another copy when the final one comes out in January, February. Because as we're reviewing, sometimes being able to see what the differences are between the preliminary and the final program totals report will answer some of the questions that we may have as well. And if you have the previous year's information, you can tell us that you anticipate this kind of a change or a shift when the final report comes out. So once you've reviewed this, if everything looks like it resonates with your experience for the year and that there are no major issues, click the confirm report. It will then change to continue to submit. So that's kind of a last opportunity to be sure that this is accurate from your end. And then it will take you to the submit screen. Now, before you're able to submit, we do ask that you look at this WCG CVS and Passport Differences report. That title is a little inaccurate because it does cover more than just those 3 programs. And you see that listed here under the 3 reports that are available to you right up front at this time. So when you click that, it will take you to the differences report screen and this drop-down box. This drop-down shows the individual reports that are available to you to review, and we highly encourage you to look at these because this is where you may find those Social Security number issues that need to be resolved. 2 students, different social numbers, but the same name. And this screenshot is a little inaccurate. As I said, the substance use disorder professional grant is going to be added to this. This is one of the tickets that we still have open. It will not prevent you from being able to submit information because the field for that new program is still available. However, the discrepancies report is still in progress. We expect that it will be available and ready within the next several days. So when you click this drop down, it will actually show you 5 different programs. So let me show you an example. This is a differences report for WCG. And when you look at it, you see that there is a yes under the overridden. There is that little blue icon. If you click that, or hover your cursor over that, it will show you what your override comment is. So you can verify that this information is overridden and that it is still accurate according to your records. Now, if it says no, that's an indicator that that record has not been addressed in your unit record processing. There could be reasons for this. As I mentioned, if you did not revalidate earlier to make all of the errors transparent, sometimes there is one that kind of hides in the background. This is where it will show up. This is also where if you have this particular screenshot does not show that, but there may be a student, 2 students with the same name and a different social number. And perhaps it shows awarded in one column and a 0 in the unit record, and then a 0 in the awarded and a dollar amount in the unit record. And sometimes these are the same amount. That is an indicator that this could be a student with 2 different social numbers and perhaps needs a person merge to create the one record, one student. So that's one of the reasons why we require you to look at these. This report is what we see on the WASC end as we're reviewing, and those are the students for which we will be reaching out to you with questions. So please be sure that you've looked through each of those differences reports. Now, once you have looked at all of the programs in that dropdown and have verified that the information is accurate, you can click Return to Report Summary. Now, if you find there are other errors that need to be fixed, see all these no's, that would be an indicator that once you go back to this report summary, you need to go back into these errors and then find those records and correct them. But if indeed they are all correct, click on I've reviewed the report. That will then activate this submit button. Click the submit. It will ask you to confirm, and hopefully you will find a successfully submitted message following that. Now, if you click confirm, you'll notice that it will revalidate all of your errors. So if there is a problem that has not been addressed, it will give you a red message here. And then that's the indicator that you need to go back into those errors. But hopefully, you'll receive the successfully submitted message. Once you have been able to submit your report, I would ask that you go back to the upload screen and click Download Report. And this will provide for you what we call a point-in-time data file download. And it is a copy of your final unit record with all of your corrections and changes intact. So it is your final report as opposed to your original upload report. So it will have all of your data in it. We also call it a point in time because at any point where you are working with your errors or in this review, you can download this report and it will give you everything that's been that has transpired in your unit record to that point in time. Okay, and this is the report that I mentioned you might want to use in generating your supplemental file if you have changes, because it will have full row information for all of your records. You can delete all of the records that you don't want to make changes to, and then have there only those that you want to make adjustments to. You're able to add then a line for students that you want to add to that as well. But you know, for those that you want to delete or make changes to, then it's a matter of just changing that status in the InstDelete column. Once you've submitted your unit record report here in this submit screen, you'll notice that all of these three reports, demographic distribution, the preliminary program totals report, and all of these passport, WCG and CBS differences reports are downloadable. And you can make note of those right away. As I said, this is a preliminary, which will then change to a final once the unit record is finally closed out in January, February. And once the unit record is closed out, this profile reports that's currently grayed out on the screen will activate and highlight to blue. And that is your indicator that these four profile reports are available to you for download. It also means that the program totals report will then be a final that you can also download. Please note also that this drop-down will show you your current year, but you're also able to get reports for another 3 years back. So if you didn't, you know, make a download copy of these reports last year, you have that opportunity for at least another couple of years beyond. This brings us almost to the conclusion. Are there any questions or comments that we can address before we move on?
And it doesn't appear to be any open questions. We
Okay.
can wait and see if any pop in, but right now you're in the clear.
Okay. I do want to mention here that as you're working in your unit record, I know this is a lot of information. We do have all of this, including screenshots, in our unit record manual. In the process of working with your unit record, we encourage you to reach out to us if you have any situation come up that you have questions about or where you're having issues. We're more than happy to work with you right away. We prefer to do that rather than connect with you on the backside where we're working through our reviews and have questions there. So with that, let me just move this on, and I believe, Connie, this is your slide.
Yeah, so this is just letting you know you can go for help for the ctcLink system. The URR processing guide, it says it's available at the Reference Center. However, it's still last year's guide. I'm in the process of getting the 24-25 guide uploaded to the Reference Center, so it should be there soon. I was hoping to launch it all together with the new file layout. But I'll go ahead and get that uploaded to the Reference Center as soon as possible, so you should see that there shortly. If you have any questions, you can contact FA support team for questions or assistance with the setup or running of your unit record report. And you file a ticket via the help desk, has the link to the help desk here, and you would file under the ticket category ctcLink support, financial aid, and FA URR. And I would just like to remind everybody that I did send an email to the listserv, I believe it was August 4th, regarding the URR file layout updates and the number of changes. If you try running your unit record and you get a no success, if you go into the message log and there's a SQL error, most likely it's due to a student having an SAI that is too high. So the new file layout will address this issue, but there is a copy of the error in that email. So if you are currently running your unit record report and it's going to no success and you open it up and you see that it is this strange SQL error, that's most likely what it is. And again, the new file layout will address this issue. If you want to, you can go ahead and run the report. If it runs beautifully for you and you get a report, you can go ahead and start cleaning up your data now. Just remember, do not, and I say it again, do not try uploading that file layout to the WASAC portal, because it will not be accepted. You need to wait until the new file layout is in production in order to upload to the WASAC portal. And as soon as we have that available in production, we will send an email out, and typically our emails go to both the ctcLink support list financial aid and the financial aid directors DERFIN listserv. And that's all I've got, Ann.
Okay.
And there is one quick question before
Okay.
we move on. Question for WASAC. Would you like us to report GET 529 plans? I'm not finding it in the manual and wanted to clarify.
I believe there is a comment in the unit record manual that asks that you not report get funds. I would imagine that that applies to 529 as well. That is a newer program that's been around for a while.
That's true. We don't consider it for the unit record submission.
Yeah, I
don't
do
report
think that that was a change, but I believe there is a link within the program, list, one of the appendices. And if you look there, it will ask you not to report anything for GET. I think that's also true earlier in the manual as well. Unfortunately, I can't tell you which page right off the top, but
Chantel found the site, so she's good.
okay, very good. Alrighty. At this point, I think, could we all turn on our videos for this last slide? Yeah, I know. We tend to get comfortable not seeing that. As mentioned, the unit record manual is available online at that web address. That is the unit records webpage. We do have a revised manual that we posted on Monday. So please be sure to review that as well. Most of the changes are contained in that changes or emphasis section at the very beginning. And they do have to do with the enrollment intensity and the credit values. Also, there's a note about the new substance use disorder professional grant that is active within the unit record now. The piece that's not yet active is that discrepancies report, as I mentioned in the one slide. That is in process. I understand from our programmer that it is in peer review. So he expects that all of those changes will be going live within the next couple of days. We will definitely let you know when they are active, so that you know that you can feel confident about that. You are able to work in the portal training or in the live production site now by uploading your files. But just know that if you find errors that trigger out of that, it's because those items still are not yet finalized and implemented in the unit record. But you can go ahead and start working on those errors and check out your file. In terms of connecting with the unit record report team, the best place to do that would be sending an email through the unit record at wasac.wa.gov, because all three of us here at WASAC will monitor that that email box. And if you need to speak with any one of us individually, our contact information is there. Particularly as we get into the review process, you may have us reaching out to you individually, and you're able to see this. We will be putting out a copy of the recording and the PDF of this PowerPoint. I expect that that will be available to you on the website next week. And I'm trying to think, is there anything else that I might have missed, Marla or Nisha? That
No, I don't think so. I just want to thank you for your time. This is a lot of information, and it's important information. So please make sure you refer to the references that we have given you.
Yes, and thank you so much, Connie, for joining us with this presentation. We certainly appreciate the partnership with you and your staff in the unit record, and thank you so very much. We appreciate you.
Thank you. You too.
Now, if there
Thanks,
are
everybody.
if there are no other questions, we will be, let me see, stop the share. We will be closing out this meeting. As I mentioned, we're looking forward to working with you and hearing from you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.